Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. This is actually I think the 20th video I've done since I've been furloughed and I've been off work. It's nearly 4 weeks now, so I'm doing one nearly every day. Things you do when you've absolutely nothing to do. But I thought I would jump on this 20 question quarantine vinyl tag that was set up by Dillon at Noble Records. Now I love doing these, I think they're great, but the problem is I do tend to repeat myself quite a bit, so some of these questions and some of the records I've shown before. But anyway, sure, unless you watch every single video of mine, I'm sure there's something new here. Okay, the first question is favourite record from your home city or state? Now I'm from a small town in Northern Ireland. It's called Coleraine. There's only about 26,000 people, so there's not an awful lot of records to choose. I could pick the county, which is County Derry / Londonderry, and that would have been the Undertones, but I can show one from my town, and that's the Extremists, which is a local band. In fact, the guy there was my local newsagent. He doesn't do it anymore. This was released around 1980, but this is a really good album. It's pop new wave, and they wrote a song called Stay the Way You Are, which was then covered by Paul Young and the Q-Tips, so that's their claim to fame. So that's my choice for question 1. Question 2, an album you highly recommend, and I'm going to pick this one by The Congregation. It's called English Congregation on this because this is an American copy, promo copy as well. But this is excellent. I love the single Softly Whispering I Love You. It's brilliant. And that album's actually called Softly Whispering I Love You. Their second album is every bit as good, and it's just called The Congregation. But they also do some really good songs. A brilliant version of A Whiter Shade of Pale. I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing. A Lover's Concerto, which I adore. Morning is Broken. It's this guy here. I can't remember his name. What is it? Brian Keith. He's got a real husky voice, and it's really good, and there's a lot of backing vocalists. It's different, but it's a really good album. Really enjoyed this, and this came out in around 1972. A tip for a beginner. There's loads of tips out there, but one is set yourself a monthly budget and don't go above it. And if you go to a record fair, don't take your card with you. Take cash and a certain amount and no more, and that's it. Because it's so easy to overspend, and you keep on spending and spending and spending, and you can get yourself into financial difficulties. Okay, a record that got me into deeper music. Well, I think anybody that knows my channel knows that I'm not really into deeper music at all. I don't like jazz, I don't like blues. I like a little bit of prog, but not that much. But the one band I do like is Genesis, and I do like the Gabriel era. But my favourite era is from about 76 to 81. But this album here by Genesis, and then there were 3, was my favourite for a long time. And it was through this that got me into listening to the Gabriel era. And my favourite of that is Selling England by the Pound. Okay, an obscure record that people may not know about. I've shown this before, and this is the Fingerprints, just Fingerprints, and this is called Distinguishing Marks. They've had a couple of albums. Nick Garvey is their lead singer-songwriter, and I think he had something to do with the Motors as well. It's pop new wave, and the song off here, Bulletproof Heart, which I've always had in single, I loved it. This album's actually very good as well. So Fingerprints, if you look out for this, Distinguishing Marks, it's their best album. Okay, a group I collect all their albums. Well, there's people like David Bowie, T-Rex, Sweet, all those people, The Jam, Beatles, Kinks. But what I thought I would show is a series that I have collected all albums, and it's I showed one of these albums in the last video, and these are the Top of the Pops albums, which I said from 1968 to 1994. That's the very, very first issue. That's the second. I'm not going to go through all 92 of them. I'll go through about the first 8 or so. Now these are all various conditions. You know, I just picked them up, some of them for 10p, some of them I was given free. But once you start collecting these things, it's really hard to stop, and you have to get them all. And there are a few that are actually quite rare. The one with Linda Lusardi on the cover is quite rare, as is the one with Samantha Fox, and that goes back. You see, it's funny when you see, if you look at her hair there, her hair sort of disappears under her chin, where the hair should be flowing. Right in the middle, it's just been painted out with orange, but weird. Yeah, so there's 92 of these, which I've got them all. And there's also 16 best of. Surprise, surprise, I got them all as well. And there were 6 European editions, which I've got them all. So once you started, I just couldn't stop. Pringles, that's what it is, like Pringles. Okay, a band whose second album is better than the first, Radiohead. And this is the band's, and this is far better than Pablo Honey. It's on a par, if not better than OK Computer as well. And then after that, I did actually quite like the one, oh god, what's the name of it? The one after OK Computer is gone. But after that, no, I've given up. But the band's better than Pablo Honey. Okay, a WhackaMole. Okay, I'll do the WhackaMole with these here. Now, I know that these are going to be female singers or whatever, or female, because that's all, these are all female singers. So that is, right, okay. We have Cover Plus by Hazel O'Connor, and this has got the brilliant We've All Grown Up on it, which I absolutely love, and a very, very good version of the Stranglers hanging around in this. Really good album, not as good as her Breaking Glass, but I think it's slightly better than the one after that, which is, if that came from there, which is Sons and Lovers. This cover just reminds me of David Bowie's Scary Monsters. It's more or less the same, I think. It's just so like Scary Monsters. So that's the WhackaMole album I've listened to the most in my life. Now, I really thought about this, and I could pick a David Bowie album, but I honestly think this is the one I've listened to the most, and this is Jim Reeves' 12 Songs of Christmas. I listen to this at least twice every year since about 1972, and on some occasions I listened to it about 10 times at Christmas. I love it. It's my favourite Christmas album, and it always gets played. So this is probably the one that I've actually listened to the most. An album with a crazy story. Well, I've mentioned this before, and this is Bowie's Ziggy Stardust album, and the first track on this is 5 Years, and this was released in June 1972. Now the track 5 Years says that more or less everything's going to end in 5 years time. So if we take that as music, 5 years from June 1972 is June 1977. And who was born in June 1977? If you can see that, a certain Kanye West. So that is predicting Kanye West's birth 5 years from the release of this album, and that's the day the music died. Well, I think it's fun anyway, so crazy story. Okay, your record collecting pet peeve, misgrading of records. I hate people that say something's very good plus and it's battered to hell, or if it's excellent and it's only very good plus. You know, these things are expensive, they should be graded correctly. Okay, an album people may be surprised to know I like. Well, I don't think many people will be surprised by this, but I actually do really like this, and yes, I bought it because of the cover, because I saw it so many times on the VC, I had to have it. And well, hey, it's the Herb Albert Tijuana Brass Whipped Cream and Other Delights. And I thought this was a really good listen. I know Taste of Honey and a few of the other tracks on it, but yeah, it's a really good listen. I wouldn't get any more Herb Albert. You know, they're not actually very popular over in the UK, well, Northern Ireland anyway, unlike in the States. But yeah, it's a really good album. So I'm glad I got it. and it's actually in the shrink as well. My god, I've got one in the shrink. I'll have to get rid of that. Okay, a record from the year I was born. Well, this record was actually released the day before I was born. You can work out the year itself, and that is the Supremes' I Hear a Symphony. So yeah, a fantastic album, and this too has got a Lover's Concerto on it, which I love, and it's got On-Chain Melody, fantastic I Hear a Symphony, and a really good version of Yesterday as well. I love the Supremes, really do think they're great, best girl band ever. A 10-inch record in my collection, and this is The Children of Rarn by Mark Bowie. And this was released around 1982, and it features the Children of Rarn suite on one side, the Tony Visconti mix or rework with strings added after Bolan had died, which was then featured on Mark the Words and Music. It also features the demo. I think the demo is actually side A and the string version side B. But yeah, this is great. I always wanted this, and when I saw it, I bought this more or less around the same time, which means I didn't have to buy that Mark album because I had everything else on it. So that's my 10-inch single, or 10-inch record. Interesting fact about an album or song, well, again I've shown this before as well, and this is the Jam, The Gift, and yes, it is the Jam, The Gift. Over here in the UK, when this first came out, it was supplied in a little paper bag with a gift on it, and it says The Jam at the back. Now, for some reason, I bought this. I was the first person in my hometown to buy this in my hometown, and I kept this paper sleeve. I don't know why, but I did. I kept it, and I'm glad I did. So that's The Jam, The Gift. Album with an animal on the cover, and we have the Stranglers feline, and there you have like a Black Panther. Pretty good album as well. I just love that cover. I think it's a fantastic cover. Album with crazy artwork. Now, I think this is absolutely bonkers artwork, but it's not, you know, paint everywhere. But David Bowie's The Next Day, for me, is crazy artwork. To release a new album, take the cover of Heroes and stick a white square on top of it and write The Next Day, and stroke out Heroes, and he actually does it with the back as well, because that is the back cover of Heroes, and he strokes out everything that's completely visible. So for me, crazy artwork. A really good album for very little money, and I know I've been going on about this group quite a bit lately, but ABBA, Arrival, you'll get it for peanuts. You'll get all their albums for peanuts, and if you see them, pick them up. Don't pick any crappy copies up. You'll get excellent near mint copies for peanuts. Those are the ones to pick up, because they are fantastic, every single album, especially from Arrival onwards. So ABBA, Arrival. An album with an acquired taste. Right, now this is a acquired taste for me, and my taste, I haven't actually acquired the taste yet. I've tried, I struggled. I've bought this on CD as well to play in the car. Parts of it I quite like, but at the end of the day, I just, no, I don't think it is for me, and that's Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. I think, from what I've heard, I would probably prefer the next album, Let's Get It On, but What's Going On, I will try again, but for the moment, you have to be really in the mood for this, and for me it is a real acquired taste. I know a lot of people are going, my god, what's he talking about, but no. And my most recent find, which I showed on my last inbox video, and that's David Bowie, Is It Any Wonder, which is a 6-track album with 397 mixes on it, or re-recordings, which is a very good album. Expensive, but good. Well, it's not overly expensive, but it's going to get that way unless you pick it up very soon. Okay, so that's the 20 questions for the quarantine vinyl tag. Thanks to Dillon again for starting this up. I've seen a few. I'm going to watch some more this afternoon while this is uploading. So that's me for now. All the best everybody. Stay safe, and I hope to have another video quite soon. I'm sure I probably will. Okay now, bye everyone. Bye.